you guys. Today we're going to talk about using a common denominator. So we're going to add and subtract fractions that have different denominators. And here's my big hint. Write this down in the margin. When denominators don't match, use the towers. And I'll show you what I'm talking about next. Okay, so let's look at example 1, adding fractions. Take a look at A. We want to add 2 over 5 plus 2 over 15. Well, notice that the denominators, the 5 and the 15, don't match. So this is what I do. When I write it out and I see that they don't match, immediately I write it as a tower. So 2 over 5 on top plus 2 over 15 on the bottom. Now look at the 5 and look at the 15. Always start at the biggest denominator, the 15, and ask yourself, will the other one go into it? And so, does 5 go into 15? Yes, 3 times. So 15 is my lowest common denominator. So I put an equal sign, a fraction bar, and a 15, equal sign, fraction bar, and a 15, and I even put the fraction bar and a 15 down in my answer. And now I do what my students call a zippy. Start at the 5, and 5 goes into 15 3 times. Bring that upstairs. 2 times 3 gives me 6, and I write it right here. So it kind of makes a Z shape. Start at the 15 and shoot an arrow to the 15. 15 goes into 15 1 time. Bring that upstairs. 2 times 1 gives me 2. Now all I have to do is add the numerators. 6 plus 2 gives me 8. And 8 over 15 cannot be reduced, so I box my answer. Take a look at problem B. They want us to do 3 over 4 plus -1 over 3. So notice the 4 and the 3 do not match. When they don't match, I write it as a tower. 3 over 4 on top plus -1 over 3 on the bottom. Now take a look at the denominators, the 4 and the 3. I always start off with the 4, the bigger one. Will 3 go into 4? No, it won't go in without remainders. So 3 is a prime number, and I know that the fastest way to get the lowest common denominator when I have a prime is just to multiply. 3 times 4 gives me 12, and that'll be my lowest common denominator. So I put an equal sign, fraction bar, 12. I put an equal sign, fraction bar, 12, and I put a fraction bar and a 12 down in my answer. And now I do the zippies. Start at the 4. 4 goes into 12 3 times. Bring that upstairs. 3 times 3 gives me 9, and I put that on top. Okay, start at the 3. 3 goes into 12 4 times. Bring that upstairs. -1 times 4 gives me -4, and I put that on top. And now I add 9 plus -4 gives me 5. So I have 5 over 12. I cannot reduce, so I box my answer. Okay, let's look at example 2, subtracting fractions. I wrote A over here in the margin, and that's what I want you to do. So we have 5 over 8 minus 11 over 12. Well, the first thing, the denominators don't match, so we're going to do a tower. But before you do a tower, add a line and change the sign. Okay, so we'll only do towers after we've changed it to adding the opposite. And now I write 5 over 8 on top plus -11 over 12 on the bottom. Now look at the 8 and look at the 12. The 12 is bigger, so I start here. 8 will not go into 12, so let's think of the next multiple of 12. 12 times 2 is 24. 8 goes into 24, so I'm going to use 24. So I put my equal sign, fraction bar, 24, equal sign, fraction bar, 24, and even down in my answer I put a fraction bar and a 24. And now I grab my red and I do my zippies. Start at the 8. 8 goes into 24 3 times. Bring that upstairs. 5 times 3 gives me 15, and I put that on top. Start at the 12. 12 goes into 24 2 times. Bring that upstairs. -11 times 2 gives me -22, and I put that on top. And now I just add the numerators. Positive 15 plus -22 is -7. The negatives win by 7. So I have -7 over 24. I cannot reduce, so I box my answer. take a look at B. I have 5 minus 5 over 6. So let's write 5 as a fraction, okay? So 5 as a fraction is 5 over 1. And where I see the minus sign, I add a line and change the sign of what comes after it. And now I can do the towers because the denominators do not match. So I put 5 over 1 on top, and I put negative 5 over 6 on the bottom. Okay, now look at the denominators, the 1 and the 6. Always go to the biggest denominator, the 6. Will 1 go into 6? Yeah, 6 times. So I put equal sign fraction bar, I put a 6 in the bottom, equal sign fraction bar, I put a 6 in the bottom, and I even put a fraction bar and a 6 in my answer. Okay, now grab your red and let's do the zippies. So start at the 1. 1 goes into 6, 6 times, bring that upstairs. 5 times 6 gives me 30, and I put that on top. Start at the 6. 6 goes into 6 one time, bring that upstairs. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5, and I put that on top. And now I just add the numerators. 30 plus negative 5 gives me 25. The positives win by 25. So I get 25 over 6. Or I can write this as a mixed number. 6 goes into 25 4 complete times, and that leaves 1 left over 6. So I can write 25 over 6 as a mixed number, 4 and 1/6, and I box my answer. Okay, so let's try the guided practice. We have to find the sum or difference and then simplify if we can. Take a look at number 1. 2 over 7 plus 1 over 2. The denominators do not match, so I write it as a tower. 2 over 7 on top plus 1 over 2 on the bottom. So look at the 7 and the 2. I go to the 7, it's bigger. 2 will not go into 7 without remainders. So I notice 2 is prime, so I just multiply. 2 times 7 would give me 14. So I put an equal sign and a fraction bar and a 14. Equal sign, fraction bar, 14. Put the fraction bar and the 14 down below in my answer. And now grab your red and do a zippy. 7 goes into 14 2 times 2 gives me 4. So I put 4 on top. Start at the 2. 2 goes into 14 7 times. Bring that upstairs. 1 times 7 gives me 7 on top. Now add the 4 plus a 7, and that gives me 11 over 14, and I box my answer. Take a look at number 2. 7 over 9 minus 5 over 6. Remember, when you see a minus sign, add a line and change the sign of what comes after it. And now do the towers. So I have 7 over 9 on top and negative 5 over 6 on the bottom. And now take a look at the 9 and the 6. Always start with the 9, the bigger one. Will 6 go into 9? No. And now I think of the next multiple of 9. 9 times 2 is 18. Will 6 go into 18? Yes. So that's the one I use. I put an equal sign, fraction bar, 18, equal sign, fraction bar, 18, fraction bar, 18 down in my answer. Now grab your red and do the zippies. Start at the 9, and 9 goes into 18 2 times. Bring that upstairs. 7 times 2 gives you 14. Start at the 6. 6 goes into 18 3 times. Negative 5 times 3 gives you negative 15. And now add the numerators. Positive 14 plus negative 15 is negative 1. The negatives win by 1. So it's negative 1 over 18, and you box your answer. Take a look at number 3. 2 over 5 plus negative 9 over 10. Denominators do not match, so do the towers. 2 over 5 on top, negative 9 over 10 on the bottom. Look at the denominators, the 5 and the 10. The 10 is bigger, so start there. Will 5 go into 10? Yes. So use 10 in all of the denominators. Okay, now grab your red and do a zippy. 5 goes into 10 2 times. 2 times 2 gives you 4. Put the 4 on top. 10 goes into 10 one time. Negative 9 times 1 gives you negative 9. Add 4 plus negative 9, and you get negative 5. So negative 5 over 10 can be reduced. Let's divide both by 5. So negative 5 divided by 5 gives me negative 1 on top. 10 divided by 5 gives me 2 on the bottom, and I box my answer. Take a look at number 4. 11 over 12 minus 5 over 18. Well, remember, add a line and change the sign of what comes after it. And now make your tower. 11 over 12 on top, negative 5 over 18 on the bottom. Go to the biggest denominator, the 18. 12 does not go into 18 without remainders. So think of the next multiple of 18. 18 times 2 is 36. 12 goes into 36, so we'll use that. Put 36 in the bottom everywhere, okay? And then grab your red and do your zippy. 12 goes into 36 3 times. 11 times 3 gives you 33, and put that on top. 18 goes into 36 2 times. Negative 5 times 2 gives you negative 10, and put that on top. Now add 33 plus negative 10 is positive 23. The positives win by 23. So it's positive 23 over 36, and you box your answer. Okay, so let's try these guided practice. Take a look at 5. 5 over 9 plus 1 over 3. The denominators do not match, so I use the towers. 5 over 9 on top, 1 over 3 on the bottom. Look at the 9 and the 3. I go to the bigger one, the 9. Will 3 go into 9? Yes. So I'm going to use 9 in the denominator in all of my fractions. And now grab your red and do a zippy. 9 goes into 9 once. 5 times 1 gives me 5, and I put that on top. Go to the 3. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 1 times 3 gives me 3, and I put that on top. 5 plus 3 is 8, so I have my fraction 8 over 9, and I box my answer. Take a look at number 6. 7 over 10 minus 4 over 5. So add a line and change the sign when you see subtraction. And now I write it as a tower. 7 over 10 on top, negative 4 over 5 down below. Look at just the bottom numbers, the denominators, and go to the bigger one, the 10. Will 5 go into 10? Yes. So use 10 everywhere in the denominator. And then grab your red. 10 goes into 10 one time. 7 times 1 gives me 7. I put that on top. Start at the 5. 5 goes into 10 2 times. Negative 4 times 2 gives me negative 8. I put that on the top. And then I just add the numerators. 7 plus negative 8 gives me negative 1. So I have negative 1 over 10, and I box my answer. Take a look at number 7. Now they're going to give us mixed numbers. 5 and 1/12 minus 3 and 3/4. Well, the first thing I have to do is write these as improper fractions. So start at the 5. Start at the 12. 12 times 5 gives me 60. 60 plus 1 gives me 61. So I put 61 over the 12. And then I copy the minus sign. Now start at the 4 with me. 4 times 3 gives me 12. 12 plus 3 gives me 15. So I put 15 over 4 for the next fraction. Now take a look at the minus sign. I add a line and change the sign of what comes after it. And now I write my towers. 61 over 12 on top and negative 15 over 4 on the bottom. Look at just the denominators, the 4 and the 12. The 12 is bigger, so I start there. Will 4 go into 12? Yes. So I put 12 everywhere, okay, in the denominator. And now grab your red and do your zippy. 12 goes into 12 one time. 61 times 1 is 61, and I put that on top. Start at the 4. 4 goes into 12 3 times. Negative 15 times 3 is negative 45. I put that on top. Now, I have to add 61 plus negative 45. Well, the positives are going to win, so I put the positives on top over here, the losers on the bottom, and I subtract, and I get 16. And remember, it's a positive 16 because the positives had more. So 16 over 12 can be reduced. Divide both the top and the bottom by 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 4 over 3 is a great answer, or you can write it as a mixed number. 3 goes into 4 one complete time, and there's 1 left over 3. So it's 4 over 3, or 1 1/3, and you box your answer. Take a look at number 8. 2 2/3 plus 6 3/8. Well, first write them as improper fractions. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8 over 3. Then copy the plus sign. Start at the denominator, the 8. 8 times 6 is 48. 48 plus 3 is 51. 51 over 8. And now write it as a tower. 8 over 3 on top plus 51 over 8 on the bottom. Now look at the 3 and the 8. Go to the bigger denominator, the 8. 3 will not go into 8 without remainders, but 3 is a prime, so you can just multiply them. 8 times 3 gives me 24, so I put 24 everywhere in the denominator. And then grab your red and do your zippy. 3 goes into 24 8 times. 8 times 8 is 64, and I put that on top. 8 goes into 24 3 times. 51 times 3 is 153, and I put that on top. And now I just add. 64 plus 153 gives me 217 over 24. Now, because the numerator is bigger, I can write it as a mixed number as well. So look over here, I did some division. Remember, think of In-N-Out burgers. 217 goes on the inside, 24 goes on the outside, and then I divide. 24 goes into 217 9 complete times, so I put the 9 right here. And then 9 times 24 is 216. When I subtract, I get a 1, so I always put my leftovers on top. So it's 9 and 1 over 24, and I box my answer.